video of Dan Does It. Today we're going to be going through Cisco Packet Tracer 10.3.4, connect a router to a LAN. Before we get started, I highly recommend taking a screenshot of your addressing table and putting that over here. That way later you don't have to scroll up to see the IP addresses. So let's get started. Part 1, Step 1. Display interface information on R1. So let's go ahead, click on our router. Tells us the console password is Cisco and the privilege exec password is class. So let's click on our CLI tab, press enter, type Cisco, type enable. Then our next password will be class. Press enter. Question A. Which command displays the statistics for all interfaces configured on a router? That would be the show interfaces command. Then press the spacebar a couple times. Part B. Which command displays the information about the serial 000 interface only? That would be the show interface serial 0/0/0. Press the space bar once, and we can scroll back up a little bit. C. Enter the command and answer the following questions. What is the IP address configured on R1? So our IP address is right there, 209.165.200.225/30. Question 2, what is the bandwidth? The bandwidth is 1,544 kilobits. Question D, enter the command to display the statistics for gigabit Ethernet 00 interface and answer the following questions. So we'll go back here. Show interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0. Press the spacebar and then scroll back up. Question 1. What is the IP address? We can see here we do not have an IP address yet. Question 2. What is the MAC address? The MAC address is right here. Question 3, what is the bandwidth? The bandwidth is 1,000,000 kilobits. On to step 2, display a summary list of interfaces on R1. Which command displays a brief summary of the current interfaces, interface status, and the IP addresses assigned to them? That would be the show IP interface brief command. So we can see the serial 000 is the only one that is up and going with an IP address. So enter the command on each router and answer the following questions. So we'll start with R1. How many serial interfaces are there on R1? You can see we have 2 serial interfaces. Question 2, how many Ethernet interfaces are there on R1? We have 2 gigabit Ethernet and 4 fast Ethernet. So that's a total of 6. Question 3, are all Ethernet interfaces on R1 the same? No, the gigabit Ethernet can go to speeds of 1 billion bits per second, and the fast Ethernet can only go to speeds of 1 million bits. Let's go ahead and do that on R2. So click on our CLI tab, press enter. Remember, our first password is Cisco. Type enable. Second password is class. And then we'll type the command show IP interface brief. Question 1, how many serial interfaces? You can see we have 2. Question 2, how many Ethernet interfaces? This one we only have 2 gigabit Ethernet interfaces. And question 3 is just for R1. So on to step 3 now. What command displays the contents of the routing table? That would be the show IP route. It says enter the command on R1. So go back to R1. Type in our show IP route command. And currently, number 1, how many connected routes are there? We have 1 connected route here, which is the serial. Which route is listed? The serial route right here. How does a router handle a packet destined for a network that is not listed in the routing table? It will drop that packet. Part 2, configure the router interfaces. This is where your addressing table screenshot comes in handy. So let's go ahead, configure the gigabit Ethernet 00 interface on R1. Before we can start typing these commands, we have to go into global config mode. So type in config T and let's get started. Interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0 IP address 192.168.10.1 subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Press enter, type the no shutdown command, press enter one more time, and then it wants us to put a description. So we'll do description LAN connection to S1. And we know this is a LAN connection to S1 because our IP address, the first 3 octets are 192.168.10. If we go up here from our router to S1, S1 is 192.168.10. So the first 3 octets match, and that is where we're going. Press enter, and then type end. Now let's go ahead. It wants us to ping PC1. So we'll go from R1 to PC1. That should work now. So ping 192.168.10.10. 80% success, so that's good. And let's go ahead and configure the other gigabit Ethernet interface. So config T, we'll type interface gigabit Ethernet 0/1. IP address is 192.168.11.1. Subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Press enter, type the no shutdown command, press enter one more time, and then we'll put our description here. This one we can see our first 3 octets are 192.168.11. If we go from R1, 192.168.11, so that's our LAN connection to S2. Then we can type end. Let's go ahead and see if our serial port is configured correctly. So we'll do the show run command, press the space bar twice, and we can see our serial port here. The IP address is 209.165.200.225, that's correct. And our subnet mask is 255.255.255.252, which is also correct. So we are good to go with that one. Let's go ahead and Step 3, back up the configurations to the non-volatile RAM. So press the spacebar a couple more times. We'll do the copy, run, start command. Press enter, and that is all done. Let's go to R2 now. Press enter. So first R2, we're going to configure the gigabit Ethernet 00. Let's go ahead, we'll go config T, and then we'll do interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0. IP address is 10.1.1.1. Subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Do the no shutdown command, and then our description command. So this one, our first 3 octets are 10.1.1. So if we're looking here from R2, 10.1.1, so that will be LAN connection to S3. And we can end that. Press enter one more time. Do config T. The next one we're going to do is our gigabit Ethernet 0/1. So we'll type interface gigabit Ethernet 0/1. IP address is 10.1.2.1. Subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Press enter. Type the no shutdown command. Press enter one more time. And our description for this one, if we're looking, we have 10.1.2. So from R2, 10.1.2. So that will be our LAN connection to S4. Then we can end that. And let's go ahead and see if our serial port is configured correctly. So we'll do the show run. Press the spacebar twice. And our interface serial 000 is 209.165.200.226. And our subnet mask is 255.255.255.252. So that is also correct. And step 3, back up the configurations to the non-volatile RAM. So we'll do the copy, run, start command. Press enter, and we are all done there. We are also at 100% completion, so if that's all you wanted, hope you enjoyed the video, and if not, let's finish out the last part here. Part 3, verify the configuration. Use the show IP interface brief command on R1 and 2. So we'll do show IP interface brief. What part of the interface configuration is not displayed in the command output? We do not have the subnet mask, which we can use the show run command to verify. And right here we have the gigabit Ethernet 0001 and the serial port, so that all looks good. Let's go over to R1 and we'll do the show IP interface brief command. Got our gigabit Ethernet 0001 and our serial 000 interfaces, all correct. So next, let's go to B. Use the show IP route. And how many connected routes do we have? We have 1, 2, 3 connected routes. And how many OSPF routes? So that would be 2 of those for a total of 5. If the router knows all the routes in a network, then the number of connected routes and dynamically learned routes should equal the total number of LANs and WANs. How many LANs and WANs do we have? We have 5. We have one LAN, 2 LANs, 3 LANs, 4 LANs, and 1 WAN between the 2 routers for a total of 5. So that is good. Let's go ahead to R2. We'll do the show IP route. We have 1, 2, 3 connected routes and 2 OSPF routes. So that is good. And last step, test end-to-end connectivity from the command line on PC1, ping PC4. So let's go to PC1, go to the desktop, and we'll go to the command prompt, and we'll ping PC4, which IP address is 10.1.2.10, 10.1.2.10. There we go. We only lost 1, so that's good. And from the command line on R2, ping PC2. So close that. R2, ping PC2 is 192.168.11.10. There we go, 80% success. So we are all done. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.